good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Referee Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Baston, and I'm joined by female CONCACAF FIFA officials. Welcome, Crystal. Are
Hello.
you Are you out on the field?
I'm close to the field, yes.
Okay. Well, welcome. I want to say welcome to Carissa, Narissa, Crystal, Stephanie, and Odette. We are awaiting the arrival of Natasha Trott. But ladies, the fact that you guys have been back in action, with especially international football returning, how has been that the time coming back, and how have you settled into game situations? And I'll start with you, Carissa.
Well, in Trinidad, it really hasn't started back for us. So being able to go out on tournaments, just recently returned last week from a tournament in Tampa. The feeling is good because it's been so long being away from the field. So, it's exciting. It's a joyous feeling, basically.
Narissa, have you been back at international competition yet? You gotta unmute.
I am not hearing so clearly.
Okay, I'm asking.
A bit. You can repeat. Can you repeat, please?
Sure. Have you been in any international competition of late?
Okay. I'm recently back from CONCACAF Women's Under 17 Championship, or qualifier rather. Last week, I returned last week Tuesday. So that was the latest international.
How did you find getting back into the flow, especially at the international level?
Say it again, please.
How did you find getting back into the flow at the international level?
Oh, Lord.
Okay, well, all right. Hold on. Crystal, let me ask you, have you been back into action?
Yes, I have been, and it's great to be back out.
You got the big smile on your face.
I was also at the U17 at Tampa. That was officially the first international gig, right? And meeting new officials. Narissa were there and Natasha were there. Having seen the new upcoming FIFA official was great, and being around them, knowing what they bring, knowing their willingness to learn. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah. And what about you, Stephanie? Have you been back into international action yet?
Hi. I can say that I've been back. I've been getting a bit of exposure. Because we recently, well, all the girls here, with probably exception of Nerissa, would have been invited to the CONCACAF Women's Elite course for Tier 1 and Tier 2 women. And we had the opportunity to participate in the men's fitness test, which we were successful at. So that also has a hand in us being able to participate in the men's games whenever the opportunity arises. So that enables my action.
Okay. Yeah. And welcome, Odette. I know I'm not going to ask you if you've been back into action. I'm going to ask you, how was the seminar over in Doha for the World Cup?
Hi.
Throw you offside. I got a flag up.
No offside. Check complete.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to go to the seminar in Doha. It was a great experience and exposure because it's my first time working with the VAR system. So we have to do on-field training, then go to the VAR room to check what your decision was on the field of play, so you have an idea of what it's like on and off the field of play using the VAR, because it will be used in the Women's World Cup 2023 in Australia and New Zealand. So it was a privilege to get the opportunity to go to the seminar and have that experience on and off the field of play.
Let me ask you, what surprised you when you had the opportunity to learn more about it in depth?
Well, inside the room, it's very controversial. A lot of talking, and you're asking for a back camera view, front camera view, side view, this view, while the game is going on. Then you have the VOR has to say, "Hey, stop the game, stop the game. We're checking," and then you check 4, 5, 6 different camera angles to see the correct decision, to see through the players, and then finally, as a referee on the field of play, the only thing you would like to hear is check complete. Your decision is correct. So that was the amazing part.
So the referee is standing there praying. Let it be right. Let it be right. Let it be right.
Just waiting to hear check complete. Once you hear that, you're good to go.
Well, Stephanie, let me ask you, because you did mention the fact that you passed the men's FIFA test, and you did officiate in a men's game recently, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
How did you find that? I mean, obviously you're talking USA and Costa Rica, high tempo, all sorts of things going on. How did you find that?
Oh boy, I was super nervous. Like I don't even remember if I contacted on it, but I know I contacted like Mr. Talvern, and I was like, guys, do I really have to do this? Like, can I back out now? Because I just found it really scary leading up to that point. But then they just reminded me, and it goes to show the confidence that people have in you, whether you know it or not. They just reminded me that this is what you work so hard for. This is the reason you participated in the men's test and you passed it. This is the reason, it's for you to go out there and show it in your performance that you deserve to be here. Like the CONCACAF women's slogan, we belong. So we're showing that we do belong.
Sure. Well, Carissa, let me ask you, because it's been a while. You said there aren't any games being played in Trinidad. So what was one of the fear factors you had going to the tournament in Tampa?
I would have to say my fear was just getting started. I think from the time the game actually started is when my fear dissipated. When I made that first decision, I'm like, okay, yes, after almost 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years of non-activity, you're training, yes, but that's different from actually being in the game. So to go back out and, am I am my skills still good? Am I still as sharp? So that was the fearful factor for me. But I think after the first decision, that it just went out the door, like, yes, Carissa, you know your stuff, you got this, just do what you know you're supposed to do.
Wow. And for you, Crystal, how did you settle in at the tournament? And obviously, it's rapid fire. You have these young ladies trying to win and advance, but and you guys haven't been in that much action. But how did you settle in as quickly as possible?
Yeah, as I said, it was a great atmosphere. Just dealing with, if you like development and you like to be in development process, then it becomes easy. And this is me. They were really interesting in what they do on the field of play. They wanted to know more. They wanted to know, of course, I think I'm the most experienced one there. So they were like, what's your experience going in, being in tier 1 and tier 2? And I dished it to them all. And right now they are expecting the expected, because they know what is at hand, what is at stake. If you are at this level, you have to maintain it, because it is hard when you drop for you to climb back up. It is. Yes, I was really grateful Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the elite course, so hence I had to do the U17. And I really was grateful. The Lord knows, He knows best. And the best was it, I must say.
Okay. All right. Narissa, I've asked you a question. Did you have any difficulty when the tournament started? Can you got to unmute.
Unlike
Yes.
the other two female who just speak, I'm fortunate to manage to dust off some of the rust because we had a short period or a short season of football being played here at home in Jamaica or National Premier League. So I I was geared up somewhat. I was ready to work and ready to perform. Unfortunately, again, I didn't perform until the last game of the tournament. That was a day prior to leaving. So I had to watch each and every referee officiate and listen to all their errors and area for improvement and go out and work without making the same mistake or doing all that would have been corrected throughout the tournament. So it was good. The feeling, everything was well. The environment was good. So that's basically.
Oh, okay. Well, Natasha, welcome. Give us a sense of what your first experience was like at a CONCACAF tournament.
Um, it was good. Overall, it was it was a lot. It was 2 weeks of a lot. I had expectations of it being strict, and then when I got there, it was kind of laid back. But I was warned that that's not the usual. So my expectation for the next tournament is going to still be up there. But I enjoyed the experience and met a lot of people, a lot of quality referees and assistant referees, and yeah, looking forward to what's next.
Now, you just mentioned something. Obviously, your first one, you had these expectations because you hear people talking. Carissa, did you have that when you done your first ever international tournament as well? Knowing that people's telling you what you can expect at a different level?
Yeah, I think I did have these expectations. It was so, that's been a while now. Was it my, as I expected? I think somewhat. And then there was more. So
Mm.
sometimes you go out, you're not really sure what to expect. People tell you, well, do this, don't do that. This is what should happen. And then you go and you realize, well, it's not as bad as people may make it sound. And then there are other aspects. Oh, yeah, they really did tell me that.
Let me ask Odette, with the experience that you have, what advice do you give young people or new people that come into the international setup? Someone like Natasha who would have come to a tournament for the first time. What advice would you have for her, being that you have some experience, if not a lot of experience?
Well, my advice is when you go to a tournament, just expect the unexpected or expect the expected. Just go there to know that you're going to work your ass off to be one of the best and keep the top performance high, that they can use it to say, hey, I remember that performance and it was done by Natasha, right? Try to stand out with something positive so they can have that in their memory of you. Don't just be like the ordinary. Try to be extraordinary in whatever you're doing. So just
Mm,
go out, perform, and be your best.
yeah. Narissa, let me ask you the same question, but what advice did you get at your first ever tournament that you kind of carry with you? You got to unmute.
Repeat one more time for me. Let me see if I can hear a little bit clearer. Please.
Sure. So what advice did you get at your first tournament that you carry with you through, that you've carried throughout your career so far?
What advice I had gotten is my instructors and my fellow colleagues back home in Jamaica had roughed me up a little to say, go out and do your best and come back with good news. Hope you do your best, perform at high performance so that your work can speak for itself or your officiating can speak for itself. Right throughout the tournament, I speak with some of my colleagues back home and they keep asking me if I'm ready and I need to be ready, and it's good feedback. It always has been positive feedback from my colleagues and my assessors. So I hope that's the question because I'm not hearing so clearly.
Sure.
But
Yeah. Stephanie, let me ask you, because no matter what, there's always something that like raises your eyebrows in a game that says, "I've never seen this happen before." For you, what type of moment was that?
When? Because I think it happens all the time for me.
Right. Oh, for you?
Yes. When has it not happened? It goes back to what it said. Expect the expected or expect the unexpected. Like anything can happen in these games, and you can't be caught by surprise. You have to know to handle the situation. That's what we're training for. That's what they trained us for and prepared us for. So we know what to do when a situation arises. No two situations are the same, but like you have similarities in how they develop. So based on what we are taught, we can use those guidelines or concepts to help guide us how to deal with that situation.
Okay. And Crystal, let me ask you, because the when females come into games, I know it's probably different everywhere, but when females come into the game, especially now as officials, how well are you received, especially if you have to do a men's game or be involved in a men's game?
How well I receive what? I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, how well are you received if you have to do a men's game?
Oh, it is always difficult to treat the two the same. So when when you have a women's game, your the whole mental you're going into that game, it is dropped to a level of, oh my gosh, the difficulty of a foul now become, let's say you don't wait for that strong tackle to happen for you to actually call it. You just have to call it because hey, it's females you're dealing with. And growing out of it, it was hard at first, but now it become easier to know, hey, you have to switch this button now to suit the females game and when it's the men's game. It comes easier with experience, as I said. Yeah.
And Natasha, for you, in Bermuda, how did you find that transition of when you started to officiate and well, we have very few women's games, but you're now, interacting and involved in men's games. So how did you find that transition?
That's funny. On Saturday night, I had a game, first men's game of the season, or for me, the first men's game of the season, and I just came back from the girls tournament, and in the middle of the game, I was thinking like, oh my goodness, this is so much faster. Like I actually need a sprint right now. And last week, my sprinting was kind of like a jog. I didn't look like I was jogging, but the pace is so much faster for the men's games. And then on Sunday, I was like, Cranston, I was reminded that I actually have to run today. Like, so 2 men's games back to back this weekend. I'm just like, oh yeah, football is back.
And one in pouring rain.
Seriously, though.
It don't rain on a football field, does it, Odette?
Repeat, please.
it doesn't rain on a football field, does it?
Rain?
Yeah, it doesn't rain, does it?
Yes.
They say it doesn't. They say it doesn't rain on a golf course, so I'm just saying it doesn't rain on a football field.
No, it's rain on a football field a lot.
Well, Odette, let me ask you then. You know, with this the new VAR going to be used for the Women's World Cup in 2023, right? Yeah.
Yes.
How do you think that affects the qualifiers that will not use the setup?
Tough one. I think using the VAR, it's more, I wouldn't say easy for an official, because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it's you, the referee, who has the final decision to make, right? And if you make that correct decision on the field of play, then the use of VAR only becomes second nature. It only confirms the decision. So being in the U17s now, not using the VAR, it's actually a good feeling for the officials there, because you have to see it and call it. You have no VAR to depend on to say, hey, they're going to check to say, all right, I missed the penalty, or this penalty, I'm not sure about it. You know, you have that like a negative feeling. So being out there without the VAR, it give you, or it should have give you the more confident to make that decision out there while using the VAR in that competition.
Great, great. Carissa, why did you turn to officiating?
How did I get into this? Really? So I'm a physical education teacher. And while I was at university studying, one of my courses was football. And I decided, in order to get to know more about the sport, I'd go into officiating. But when I really didn't take it that seriously. I just did the rules, and that was it. But when I came back home, I had a friend who was a referee, and he reintroduced me into it and was telling me about, well, you can make it to FIFA and all, and all these different things. I just wanted to, get back into being active because I'm an active person. And I thought, well, hey, I have some free time. And once I got into it, I really, really started to love it. So.
Natasha, what? Because I know you're very active. You've had your turn in different sports. What settles you about football?
What settles me? Why do I like it?
Yeah. Why do you like it, and why you get it? Well, the person that's always calling you Mr. Williams is I know it's the driving force. But what why do you like it so much, and why do you think you're achieving or striving to where you are thus far?
I started playing football when I was 7 with the boys at Hamilton Parish, and it just became a part of my life. So I mean, I know refereeing just fell into my hands in the middle of the street, but I'm sticking to it because I realized that I'm a goal-oriented person, and refereeing is a lot of goals and a lot of steps to complete to become how you can go however far you want to go, but to get there, steps and goals to accomplish. So I think that I stay because there's much opportunity.
Okay. And Crystal, for you, how did you get involved in the officiating side of football?
Well, coming off being a footballer and tired of Trinidad and Tobago not reaching anywhere in football, I was like, okay, refereeing is the next thing to do. It was so funny because the day that I told the coach I'm no longer interested in the team, the next day I saw a recruitment advertising for referees. I was like, what? And would you believe when I called the number, who I can pick up is a lady named Sharon O'Brien, who was then our manager for the team. She did not getting news that Crystal no longer interested in playing with the national team. Like, no, I want to become a referee, and it was so funny. But yeah, here I am now enjoying the football. Yes.
Mm. And Stephanie, for you, what attracts you to the officiating side of the game? Because I mean, everyone knows that not everybody wants to be an official. You have tons of people that want to be a footballer, but never want to take the responsibility of getting the abuse that they like to give. So what do you like it so much?
Um, well, I actually didn't like it. Of course, you guys know that. I didn't like refereeing because of the same abuse, and I just wasn't
Mm,
about that life. um, but but once I got into it, I actually just loved the challenge.
mm,
Like I loved racing against the boys because I started out doing like boys games first because women's
okay.
games here are just not that prevalent. So I started out doing men's games and boys games, like on the 19, on the 16, and then senior teams and stuff. And I just really just love the challenge of reaching to the touch line or the goal line before the boys, getting to that ball first. It's like I'm still on the field, playing. So I'm getting there before them anyway. I'm like, you're so slow. So sorry. So that's me. That's what I do. I'm sorry.
Well, Odette, let me ask, how when you got involved, did you know um, that there was avenues to go international in refereeing, or you just decided, you know what, let me just take up this whistle, and let me just take up this flag, let me just help out?
No, I actually did my research before I actually become a referee, you know. So I always watch football sometimes with my uncles and stuff, and they always supported the teams overseas. So I was like, hey, I like to see the guy in the middle running up and down and stuff. I always admire Howard Webb as a referee, sorry.
Yes.
So so he was mainly my motivator, while growing up. So I like one day I
Mhm.
want to become, somebody like that referee to be in the middle blowing whistle and to show red card to players and have that authority.
Yes.
So I challenge myself and say, hey, if he can do that, then you can do it. Then I do the research and realize females are involved and they can reach to the top just like that. So that is how I just started out and just grab it with both hands.
Well, great stuff. Great stuff. For you, Carissa, looking at the game, how much has it changed for you? Um, you say you're a physical education teacher, but you're teaching the game in school, but you're also officiating the game outside of school. So how much has the game changed, and how much has refereeing or officiating helped you make that change in school?
Actually, it actually has impacted my teaching. Um, Before I would just go through, the general coaching of football, but now I'm actually teaching and trying to get them to understand the rules so that when they referee that they have to deal with. They're not going to be abusive. They know the rules, so
Right.
if anything, if you get a red card, you know why. If you get a yellow card, that's on you. You know better. Um,
Mhm.
so it's like it's an incorporation of teaching, coaching, and refereeing for me because I actually assist with my under 14 boys at school. And, you know, uh, being a referee, some of the coaches actually may come to me and ask certain questions about rules and try to get explanations. So it's a win-win for the school in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you all to answer this next question because I find it very interesting. As we all grow up and we have ambitions of being a player, a star, scoring a winning goal, what would be that dream matchup for you if you had the whistle and it was two opponents that you would really like to be in the middle with. Even if you're a assistant referee, just having that ambition of being two teams that you would love to officiate a match between. Crystal.
If I tell you, I don't have a preference because each game, each teams I referee, I always referee. You think I am in the World Cup. I always experience the noise, the cheering. I don't know. I've never seen myself thinking of specific teams because, as was said, each team bring a difference of the referee. Each team, some will be aggressive, some will be calm. So you always get that mixed there in the international field. So for me to call two Pacific teams, then I don't have two Pacific teams. I don't know. I don't know. But I'll tell you this though. So one time, I think it was last World Cup when we had USA played Netherlands, right? And I recalled to Steffi, I was say, Steffi, I was in World Cup before this because I had USA played Netherlands as an international friendly. I watched now. I mean, as I said, when you referring these high end countries, just for international friendlies, you feel as though that hey, even though you ain't reached probably to that level because of circumstances, you are there and you're worth it because hey, I am here refereeing these two teams, so it must state something. So trust me, with every appointment I take it as grace. Yeah.
Sure. Great stuff. Great answer. Natasha?
I have one team. I I would want to referee the USA women's team because if I'm refereeing them, that means I'm at the top. That means I've made it. They got a quality team. Anybody else after that, I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that many women's teams, but the USA team, I'm always for them. I'm always rooting for them. So, I mean, that wouldn't decide my decisions on the field or anything,
Right.
But
Right. You
definitely
you
USA
have to do a
women's
lot
team.
of chasing because they do a lot of running.
Yeah, definitely.
Stephanie?
Well, I can say I'm similar or share the same sentiments as Crystal, where I don't think I ever thought about that question of having two teams that I would love to see. But the idea of superseding my own expectations. So I think I'm just more excited to see what comes next, the matchup. So like I take each game as it comes, and there's a different level in every game that you do. There's a different challenge. So like for me, I mean, after the World Cup, I think my biggest challenge was doing that men's game, the USA Costa Rica game. So I just take it as it comes. So whatever is next, I'm hoping to rise to the occasion and put out my best performance, and stand
Sure.
up to the challenge.
Sure.
So that's how I
Well,
see it.
okay. All right. Odette?
For me, I've the opportunity to go to um the Senior Women's World Cup qualifiers, in which I get the opportunity to officiate with the top teams, some of the top teams, right? So it was a privilege to be there to see and experience all these teams play, especially the USA team and the Canadian team, right? So knowing their playing styles and understanding their strategy out there of playing, I can imagine the other teams that I've never met before that went to the World Cup, how the matchup would be like, And I like the challenge. And since I've known how these teams play here, then I really like to experience the challenge of the other teams going into the World Cup. And while seeing them on TV, then I wish I was in the middle to just have that experience of having the challenge to officiate with them. So that's me.
Sure. And Carissa?
Um, I feel like if we're in a choir because we're pretty much singing the same song. I have never really thought about which teams I would want to officiate. I just take it as it comes. Um, I treat each game as though it's the highest level. At least I try to treat each game as this is the World Cup or maybe the Olympics. This is the highest level. So if I had to choose, maybe I would at least like to do a USA game as well, because them girls is run, and I like to run too. So yeah, I don't have a specific team, but yeah, USA might be one of my picks.
Yeah. But again, another question for everyone: how challenging is it to stay on the FIFA list year in and year out for each of you individually? Of course, Natasha, you're working towards that, but you other ladies, how difficult or how challenging is it for you to achieve that each and every year? And I'll start with you, Carissa. We'll work back the other way.
Well, we have a saying: your fitness is your passport, and then your performance is the ticket. So,
Okay.
in order to remain, you have to perform. But in order to perform, you have to be fit. You have to be able to pass that fitness test. So, you have to train hard, not only to pass the test, but your field work in order to perform on the game. So, that's the only way you could stay on. Your performance has to speak for itself.
Sure, sure. What about you, Odette?
Well, I can say the same as Carissa. And as they say, the higher the monkey climb, the higher they expose. So it simply means that every year your performance has to increase. So if you
Mm,
started out at 6 this year, then next year you know have to go to 7, because you cannot drop that bar below 6, because you have persons like Natasha coming up showing bright performance, and then you feel comfortable at 6, and Natasha just goes a whoop and reach 8. So you're like, oh no, something wrong, and you're wondering why you maybe fall behind or
mm,
below the 6. So each year you have to think about how can I improve myself going forward by trying to reach a higher bar. So you have to set your levels higher for next year. So if you achieve 6 this year, I tell myself, hey, next year I'm going to 7. So I try to find means and ways of how to improve myself to reach 7 or 8 for the other year. So that is how I stay on. Meanwhile, with
oh,
the
great.
fitness, as Carissa said before.
Sure. Great. Stephanie?
Boy, Earl, it's a lot of things. Trust me, it's a lot of things. All of what they said, but it is a
Uh-huh.
lot of things. And like
Mhm.
what Alan Brown always said to us, you rest when you're dead. So, you know what I mean? The work never stops. I mean, it's everything. It's fitness, it's the performance, it's the dedication, it's the sacrifice. It's made up of so much that when you put it together, like it helps you to be consistent in your performance or be consistent performance on the field and in terms of fitness and in terms of your level as well. Because as Odette said, even if you're at this level and you have to go to the other level, because you can't stay at one level for too long, you still
Mhm.
have to maintain that level of I don't know, consistency, or I don't remember the word I'm trying to use here, but yes, it will come to me. But you have to maintain you have to maintain your standard, and as you rise, you keep that standard or you raise the bar, as what it said.
Mhm.
Because like you said, there are girls that are coming up that are hungry, that are coachable, and they want more. They want to feel what we feel. They want to enjoy that we enjoy. So
Mhm.
the door is open for everybody. It's just the work that you put in. So your attitude will always determine your altitude. So that's how I see it.
Sure. Great stuff. What about you, Crystal?
I find they make this thing sound so easy because that word challenge is in caps. For me, it is in caps. It is challenging. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, sometimes it is so hard to find that balance. Yes, you have to remain fit, and it's not just fitness, and not just refereeing is my life, and I'm quite sure for the other ladies, it's not just refereeing is their life. So that balance is important. So I'll share this experience with you, what I now came across. So I was in quarantine for approximately a month. No much training can be done where I was quarantining.
Mm-hmm.
And however, as I said, remember I missed the Elite U20s. Okay. So boom, receive an email. I have a fitness test. I think it was 20th of September, 16th of December, somewhere there. But when I came out of quarantine, I only had 1 week before that fitness test. Man, what can I possibly do in a week? All I could do is really jog because you don't want to be strenuous on your muscles. Okay, went into the fitness test. Okay, you do something and you even know you do it. Of course, I passed the test. And while in my cool down, I was saying, you know what? I don't think training really helps the day before you pass the test. It's the training you was doing for the whole 3 months before that quarantine that really helped me pass that test. Because sometimes on a test now you want to try to do interval runs or blah blah blah, but because I had nothing of the sort for approximately a month, and I was shocked to myself. I said, okay, so next time the next fitness test come, what I go and fuss of myself for? So trust me, it is just so real, and you just have to find that balance, and it's all mental. Because you know what you put in that 3 months ago is that what you're gonna get out. If you eat tonight, you feel as that energy gonna help you out for tomorrow. No, that energy burn is the one from last week. Is what helping you go through. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's just trying to maintain that balance. Yeah, in order to keep on.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Natasha, what was the difference in the training that you were doing here in preparation for the tournament? What was the difference when you arrived there and had opportunities to train with uh, what we would consider elite officials?
Yeah, good question. But to comment on everyone else, what everyone just said, it just sounds like it doesn't get easier when you get to the top.
Right.
Like sometimes in business, the CEO, you really think that they're not doing anything. It's the
Mm-hmm.
opposite for refereeing, is what it sounds like. So I got so much to look forward to. Really excited for that. Um, so the difference in the trainings you asked,
Yes.
I think the difference was the people. Everyone was elite basically, or
Mm,
at the same greatness type of thing.
right.
Um, that was the difference. I think the workouts were about the same, more intensity because you're in an environment where you're trying to be great. You're trying to perform in front of assessors and instructors. So that was the difference. That's the intensity and the everyone being on the same level.
Mm. Odette, is it when you're at these tournaments, and of course you have your days off that they put you through paces and all that? Is it competition? Are you competing against fellow officials, or are you just really trying to impress the instructors?
On the field of play, I compete against myself. But at the end of the day, you want to perform to the highest to show that you're capable of what you're doing, right? So I
Mm,
don't judge myself with somebody else's performance. I know that if they made a mistake, then I know that in my game that I will not make the same mistake. you know I try to learn from somebody else's mistake if they do make a mistake. So I just try to keep my high performance, just go out there, do my best, and that's it. I don't impress instructors or assessors, because if going out on the field of play you have them on your mind, then in that game something will go wrong. So just go
mm,
out with an open mind, enjoy the game, and just do what you have to do.
mm.
Later, after the game, you said, "Hey, let's hear what the instructor have to say, or what the assistant have to say." But you just go out there and just do your thing. I don't put them on my
Right.
mind.
Sure. Sure. Clarissa, what's your routine before a game?
Um, I don't really have a routine per se. Uh, we get to the venue. Oh, before we get to the venue, I try to get a good rest. Um, Depending on the time of the day the game is, you want to make sure you have that meal, or the night before you make sure you have a good cab meal. Um, it's not really so much of a routine. You get to the venue, you do, you prep for the game itself, your equipment and so on, your uniforms, that kind of thing. Um, I take that time to gel with my referees, the other assistant referees, and my central referees. Um, sometimes it's, well, I usually don't have music on my phone, so somebody else has to play the music, and I might do a little dance and just try to hype myself up. If I'm feeling nervous, I would try to hype a little so that to shake off the jitters. But that's it. Basically, I don't really have much of a routine. It's just, this is what we do. This is work. This is how you work. Just like I go to school and I teach, I go to the field and I referee.
Okay. Crystal, do you have a routine before a match? Something you have to do?
No, I wouldn't call it a routine, because just as with experience, I think, because how I know the flow of how the games will go, and it's so busy, I think I try to do the same how I train, and it just from work sometimes I don't know, rest just to go and train, because that's just how it is when you're abroad. You have game, you have debrief, you have dinner, because you're always in the instructors and assessors space. So I always try to have that busy, so I can just go with the flow. I don't have a routine. I know I don't eat. That's the only thing that is bad, because I know with the anxiety, because every game I just have this anxiety feeling. So I just don't eat. I will just drink. I cannot eat. Oh my gosh.
What about you, Natasha? What's your routine?
Yeah, no, I don't have one really. I just get like for this previous tournament, I felt like I was the only one without a routine. Like everyone in the room was doing, I feel like they had steps of what they were doing. I was just sitting in the chair like, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to get the game going. I had my shirt ready, my shoes out, all the uniform was laid out. I don't know what else I was supposed to be doing, but I'm pretty relaxed before a game. It's nothing. I sleep well the night before, Actually, the last game of the tournament, I had a work meeting before the game. So I woke up like 30 minutes before the work meeting, did the work meeting, went to breakfast, then went to the game. I was fine. No routine though. No routine.
No routine.
But it worked out. I was fine.
I know Stephanie has a routine. Do you, Stephanie?
Some sort of way. It's not really a routine, but it's just things I have to do, like put in place, or it's a part of the preparation, and it starts from like the night before or the day before in training, even just putting my gear and everything together in the right place, ensure that I have everything. So the next day, I don't have to go through any stress to find anything. Where is this? Where is that? I'm missing a flag or something,
Okay.
Not much of a routine, but just steps.
Okay, steps. Nothing wrong with that. And Odette?
I can say the same. Basically, overnight, I prepared everything for the game. And before I go sleep, maybe I try to watch a few clips of the two teams that will play the next day, and try to keep myself abreast of their playing styles and their best player who they will target in the games, if so forth. Or I maybe have a note of prior to the pre-match instructions. So I maybe have a note of that, and I just keep myself refreshed of the team and the numbers that play. And then by the next day, I'm free. Breakfast, relax. Then when I go to the dress room, I'll just listen to some music have fun with the girls, and there we go. That's my routine.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much. And I do have a message from Mr. Williams who says to tell them thank you very much for coming on. He's enjoyed listening to you ladies and giving our referees and our officials here in Bermuda the opportunity to hear you guys, as with your journeys to where you are and making it to the next step. And also, he says, looking forward to seeing you all in Bermuda soon. I see the smiles, Cranston. You see the smiles, Cranston. They're running to the airports right now. Bring your whistle, Emma. Well, no. Yeah, bring your whistle. We have flags. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much, and I want to encourage you to continue your journey and be the best that you can be, helping this sport continue to grow in our region, not just for your own countries, but for the entire region, because it takes people like you guys that make sure that the games get played, and you take them to a whole new level with the training and the relationships that you're building amongst each other, to actually grab other people involved, like someone like our Natasha here. So again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.